Is jazz music in the public domain? Have you ever wondered about the legal status of jazz music and whether it falls into the public domain? This question is quite interesting, especially considering the rich history of jazz and blues music. Let's break it down. The public domain status of jazz music depends on two main parts: the musical composition and the sound recording. First, let's talk about musical compositions. In the United States, jazz compositions that were published before the year 1929 are generally in the public domain. This means that works published before this date can be freely used without needing permission. For example, compositions from the year 1929 will enter the public domain on January 1, 2025. This includes many early jazz standards from the Roaring Twenties. Now, sound recordings have different rules. For recordings made before the year 1923, they entered the public domain in the year 2022. For recordings made between 1923 and 1946, they are protected for 100 years from the date of publication. This means that a recording from 1924 will become public domain in the year 2024. For recordings made between 1947 and 1956, the protection lasts for 115 years. Recordings made after 1956 have more complex protections that can last over a century. So, what does this mean for jazz music today? Compositions published before 1929 can be performed, rearranged, or recorded without any licensing fees. However, early recordings, like those from Louis Armstrong's Hot 5 sessions, will remain jazz under copyright until their 100-year term expires. This creates a unique situation where modern artists can reinterpret early jazz works legally, allowing them to keep the legacy of jazz alive while also encouraging creativity. Looking to the future, as recordings from the 1920s start entering the public domain from 2023 onward, archivists and creators will gain legal access to these historically significant jazz performances. However, it is important to verify the copyright status of post-1923 recordings before reusing them. Understanding these legal distinctions is essential for jazz educators, performers, and content creators. For instance, a composition like West End Blues, published in 1928, can be freely adapted. However, the original recording by Louis Armstrong from the same year will remain jazz copyrighted until the year 2028. If you are planning to feature jazz music in your content, here are some tips. First, always verify both components, meaning check if the composition and the recording are in the public domain. Second, consider using original arrangements. By recording new versions of public domain compositions, you can avoid copyright claims. Lastly, highlight the historical context of the works you are using. This connects jazz's past to modern creativity and helps celebrate its cultural heritage. With this understanding, you can navigate the legal aspects of jazz music while enjoying its rich cultural and social impact.